Hello Greenstylers, Cynthia here, welcoming you to the Boxy Tee sewing tutorial. This simple yet versatile pattern comes with 3 length, 3 neckband, and 2 sleeve options. Today we'll be making this gorgeous floral version of the Boxy Tee, which includes the high neckline, short roll-up sleeves, waist length, and is shown paired with the rally skirt. Construction for all versions of the Boxy Tee is the same, so follow along no matter which options you've chosen. For fabric, we suggest lightweight knit with spandex or lycra and about 25% horizontal and 10% vertical stretch. Now here are the pieces you'll need to cut. Cut piece B1, the front, on the fold. Choose between the cropped length, waist length, or hip length. And be sure to transfer notches from your pattern pieces onto your fabric at the arm side, and I also like to mark the center of the neck opening. Choose high, lower, or wide neckline. Next is piece B2. Cut the back one on the fold, again transferring notches at the arm opening and at the center of the neckline. Be sure to cut the same length and neckline options as you did for the front. Cut 2 sleeves as mirror images. Be sure to mark the center notch and your notches from the pattern pieces onto your fabric. Choose either the short rolled up sleeve length or the long sleeve length. Choose either piece C1, C2, or C3 neckband to correspond with your neckline opening of choice and cut 1. To begin construction, align pieces B1 and B2 at the shoulder seams with right sides together and pin in place at those shoulder seams. Stitch using a stretch stitch or serger and a 3/8 inch seam allowance. At this point, you want to press the seam allowances toward the back bodice, just like so. And if your fabric is very heavy or loose knit, you may want to reinforce the seam with a strip of knit interfacing or clear elastic. Even a sturdy piece of knit fabric with a low stretch, such as a double knit like scuba, would work well for this. Once satisfied with your shoulder seams, open up your shirt like so that the arm side is facing up. Locate the notches, and then put your sleeve facing up along that opening. Make sure that the match is notched. So up here, I have the double notch, and down at the bottom, I have the single notch. Then flip your sleeve over and begin pinning or clipping in place by first lining up the edges, notches, and shoulder seam from the shirt to the sleeve. Then place additional pins or clips all along that sleeve to make stitching easier. Be sure to pinch the fabric at the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance line when pinning or clipping. Repeat for the other sleeve, and then stitch using a stretch stitch or serger and a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Once the sleeves are attached, lay the shirt with right sides down on the table. Pinch the sleeves at the center, lift up so that the side seams are now aligned with right sides touching. Pin or clip the side seams together all the way through to the end of the sleeve. Repeat for the other side, and then stitch using a stretch stitch or serger and a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Before beginning the neckband, I went ahead and folded mine with wrong sides together and pressed along the long edge. This is optional, but I like to do it. Then open out the neckband fully while preserving the crease and align the two short ends with right sides together to create a loop. Pin or clip in place and we'll stitch using a stretch stitch or serger and a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Now we'll fold again with wrong sides together, but if you used a serger like I did, you'll see that folding together will cause 2 layers of serged seam allowance double on top of each other, creating a bulky lump inside of the neckband. To fix this problem, you can simply snip into the seam allowance right at that center fold line, making sure to preserve one of the needle threads. Then you can nest the 2 seam allowances next to each other when you fold wrong sides together. Place the neckband on the bodice, lining up the center back and center front and all of the raw edges. Stitch using a stretch stitch or serger and a 3/8 inch seam allowance. As you stitch, you'll be stretching slightly, but be very careful that you don't stretch the neckline of the shirt. Only the neckband will be stretched. And be careful to stretch it minimally, only enough so that there aren't wrinkles in the bodice while you attach it. Here's a tip for beginning serger users. When you stitch in the round, you'll notice that the beginning of the stitch isn't quite the full 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Coming back around to finish the neckband, stitch past that portion, then turn off the knife and stitch a few more stitches. This will create a beautifully stitched neckband. Check for any puckers, make sure everything is nice and smooth, and then press that seam allowance downward and away from the neckband. At this point, you can top stitch using a zigzag, twin needle, or cover stitch if desired. You'll be top stitching just under the seam line, and you'll be stitching through the shirt and the seam allowance. An easy way to hem is to draw a line, double the hem allowance away from the raw edge of the sleeves or the bottom hem. Our sleeves are 5/8 of an inch hem allowance, so I've drawn a line 1 1/4 inches away from the raw edge. The bottom hem allowance is 1 inch, so I've drawn a line 2 inches away from the raw edge. After the line is drawn, fold up to the line toward the wrong side and pin or clip in place. Do this for both the bottom hem and the sleeves. Top stitch into place using a zigzag stitch, twin needle, or cover stitch. If making the short sleeve version, at this point you can leave the short sleeve as is, or if desired, roll the short sleeve up twice and tack into place with a small tack stitch under the arm and at the center top of the sleeve. This will keep it in place. And with that, you are done. Congratulations on completing your very own Greenstyle Boxy Tee. As always, thank you for stitching with me. I know you're going to love your Greenstyle Boxy Tee. Make sure you're subscribed to Greenstyle's YouTube page for more sew-alongs, and we can't wait to see what you've made. Be sure to use hashtag GSBoxyTee across all social media, and we will see you next time. Happy sewing from all of us at Greenstyle.